Okay, so welcome to our second video for COMP3218 Game Design at University of Southampton. So my name's Dean Millard, I'm one of the lecturers on the course, and I'm here with...
Ricky Print is also a lecturer on the course.
Rachel Day, I'm a PhD student and I did this course last year.
Callum Spalforth, I'm also a PhD student and I also did this course last year.
So I think we've got 4 games to have a look at in this cycle. Ricky, do you want to say a little bit about what they were asked to do?
Yeah, so in this third prototype that they had to build, they had to make a game that used like an innovation in games technology. So we asked them to build a game that either made use of adaptive difficulty, procedural content generation, a novel interface like a novel input device or a novel like output like VR or something like that, or to use real-world location-based data to build the game.
So most of the students, I think, did adaptive difficulty or procedural generation, but these ones are all one of the other ones?
Yeah, these are all novel interfaces, I think.
Location-based.
Oh, and location.
And location.
Right. That is a sort of novel interface, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like
it
it's a
is.
novel input.
It is basically, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, alright, so it might be interesting getting some of these to run. So they were basically told to make sure that they were playable in these Let's Plays. So we said for location-based, for example, make sure there's a way of simulating location. So let's have a look at our first game and see what they've done.
Cool. So what's this one called, Dave?
So the first one, I think, is just called Z.
Oh yeah, Z. So this is the one. This one uses a heart rate monitor as an input device. And I'll ask the people editing this to overlay some of the photos I just took of Callum wearing the heart rate monitor. So Callum, if you pop that heart rate monitor on.
Right.
So this basically is a optical heart rate sensor that clips onto your finger.
Doesn't look great.
And Callum currently has heart rate of 150.
Oh, damn. Wow.
And now Callum's heart has exploded.
The adrenaline's really kicked in here.
It was working earlier, at least.
Yeah,
we can vouch for that.
We've had a few little difficulties with this, so that we're in just the calibration scene at the moment, just to show the heart rate monitor sort of works, which it isn't. Ironically, like all live
Callum
demos.
did just take his finger out of the heart rate monitor.
I'm going to restart
Let's
the scene
restart it,
and we'll see what happens. Maybe it needs Callum to be wearing it from the start. Callum just has a heart rate of 2.
I'm assuming because this is called Z, it's a kind of zombie survival-y thing. I haven't seen it, but
yeah.
So I quite like the idea of having a heart rate monitor and linking it up to that. That kind of works quite well.
So the part there, we don't seem to be getting this calibration to work. Try a different finger, Callum.
Yeah. Maybe that finger is just useless.
Yeah. Maybe we've just broken the entire thing.
Let's try this finger.
So this is the main.
Well, should we get into the main game?
Yeah, go on.
We can have a look at the calibration at the end when we're discussing we're wrapping up. But this is a main game, and the problem we had is that we don't seem to be able to get the calibration working in here, which is a shame.
So if you click the attached.
I have clicked attached, haven't I?
No, just it was unclicked then.
Okay.
Unticked, I should say.
It's okay. We can manually control the.
So there is a manual control.
Just try again. Let's give it one more go to see if we can get it going. So at the moment it says it's not attached.
But yeah, we're still not getting a reading off of it. But we saw this when we were testing.
What about if we start the calibration?
Maybe we should.
Yeah, nothing.
That's a shame.
Okay.
But there is a manual. There's a way of manually controlling the heart rate.
So you can basically spoof the heart rate and see what happens. Okay. So we can try the game.
So I think that's a good fix. What I'll do. Oh no, we need to start it and tell it it's not attached, and then we'll be okay.
So it looks like by sliding that difficulty slider, you can change sort of some kind of threshold on the.
Yeah, that's right.
So
the difficulty, there is an insta-death rate. So if your heart rate gets up to this amount, then you see the insta rate in the bottom corner. As the difficulty goes up, you need to keep your heart rate lower.
Lower than 0.
Lower than 0. So yeah, if you want to make it harder, you reduce that down from your max heart rate.
Should we stick it on something like 130 then, so we can get to it?
So that we get killed quicker.
Yes.
Got it.
There we go. Right, start calibration. Right, we're in a game. Who's going to play this and who's going to control the heart rate? Should I play?
So if you play.
Rachel, do you want to do the heart rate?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Control Ricky's heart.
Right, so heart rate is comma and full stop. Callum, can you do the mouse for us? So
this is now a 3-player game.
We're 3-playering this game. So yeah, the aim. So this is like a little first-person stealth game. The idea being that as your heart rate goes up, then the zombies spot you and chase after you. There are these little. Oh, he's coming!
No,
Get him!
no.
Oh, get him! Interesting. I like the mechanic that you can. If you can alter your heart rate, then you can actually get them to go away. So these things are little safe zones. So if you go in here, then the zombies can't get you. So if you need like a place to calm down, then you can go in here.
Okay.
That's quite a nice idea.
That is quite nice, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like Gordon Freeman.
If you could no, you let them come near.
Run to the safe
You're
zone.
the worst eyes. Can I mouse, please? There we go. There we go. It's the coordination between one person mousing and one person not mousing. If you can drop my heart rate so I can run through here, this would be great. Yeah, made it. What I'm not sure is what I'm meant to be doing. Am I meant to?
So what is your heart rate? Does it affect your ability to control or move at all?
I don't think
No.
so. It doesn't.
So it's just affecting how
Whether
they respond to you.
yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, whether they respond
And if you
and whether you die or not. So you lose if you.
I don't
So
feel
if
like
you
I
can-
should be
if you can
moving
walk
okay at
through-
the moment.
So you could walk through here with a low heart rate and it would
Yeah.
be fine. And they'd never come after you and they'd never...
Yeah. So that's a fair point. So Rachel's taken the heart rate right down and suggested that I shouldn't be able to move. It would be interesting whether like my rate of movement or my rate of physical activity in the game, should that be linked to the heart rate? Like the heart rate is my real factor, but
Yeah.
should it be artificially adjusted by the fact that that I'm running or that I'm not running or that I'm standing still? That'd be.
Yeah. And what is your goal? What are you trying to do?
Now that's what I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure that out. I assume it's to get to a place.
There's a crate there.
Oh,
That's
okay.
new.
Oh,
You've survived.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
So you need to make your way through the maze of zombies. Keep your heart rate low. So, but they didn't seem to be reacting to you, even if the heart rate was relatively high.
It seemed like it was relatively forgiving in that case.
Yeah.
Perhaps if we try it again with a higher difficulty and a higher heart rate.
So, insta rate.
Put the insta rate at like 90. But the issue was that we were controlling this.
I
manually,
probably don't
right?
even need to. They
So-
should react to you at 17, right?
Okay.
It's interesting. Why are the lights off this time?
So they've got this. That is an
So
interesting thing,
75
actually. So
seems to be where they.
that radius of light seems to change according to what your heart rate is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the lower
that's
your heart
interesting.
rate, the less you can see.
Yeah. So I think that's intentional, isn't it? That's to. Is it intentional? I guess it's to make it more spooky whilst you're
When you're calm.
calm, to try and get your heart rate up.
Yeah.
But also, if it's when your heart rate's up and you can see everything, then
You're
like more in
die.
control. So I'm gonna die.
Well, you're way above the insta
The
rate.
insta rate is 89, so
Yeah.
Yeah. How long insta rate am I meant to be able to
I don't know.
survive?
It's not very insta, is it?
Yeah, I thought it was that if you got to that, you
You died,
immediately
yeah.
died.
Maybe it's there's no chance of sneaking past them or something.
I still don't understand. So here your heart rate's 88 and they're responding to you.
Yeah,
A
I think
little bit.
it seemed like 75 was the cutoff.
They also seem to be suffering from the classic movie zombies problem of actually not being that scary.
Yeah.
Because they move very slowly and don't really get in your way or mob you or
Yeah.
do anything.
I mean, in terms of the effectiveness of the game, I can just sort of run through them.
Yeah.
And I guess like if the insta rate had like more of an impact.
I think a part of this is how they've balanced it. So as you start off with 1,000 health, it seems like you can take quite a lot of damage before dying. It would be nice if it was sort of the classic movie zombie problem of you get bitten once, you're then infected sort of thing. So it really is punishing to get their attention.
Yeah, the peril that you actually need to experience in order to make the heart rate monitor work just isn't there, is it?
In all fairness, I think that's quite hard to achieve in sort of
It is.
when you
In a
don't have the
short
time
game,
to
yeah.
get your own assets as well. And
Yeah. So in a sense, they set themselves a really challenging thing to do here.
Yeah.
And I think they've got a really nice idea. Let's think about it in terms of our kind of three criteria. So in terms of quality, What do we think? Are there any bugs? Does it play smoothly? Is it playable?
So it's definitely playable, I think. All of the mechanics seem to be working to at least some extent. You can definitely get through the game, you can get to the end.
It just doesn't seem to be configured properly.
Yeah.
Oh.
It feels like the zombies are too slow to attack. You have too much health. You kind of.
Surely not getting the heart rate working counts as a bug as well.
That is true. Yeah. My tendency is to be a little bit forgiving about those things because
they've tried to do something.
They've tried to do something different and innovative, and I think that's really good. So there are some issues, but generally, it's here. It just feels again maybe just needs play testing basically.
I think so.
And trying out different scenarios with it to see what works and what's effective.
I think the game's just a little bit light. Like the only challenge was there were slightly more zombies in each room. There wasn't really any design of the levels. Like all the rooms were the same as well, and they were all just standing there waiting for you. If there were like corridors but with like little side passages and the zombies could jump out at you, those sort of things are what begin. Those sorts of level design things are what builds tension and what really makes it unsure. I could walk to the edge of a room, I could pause and calm down, I could see that there were 20 zombies and there was no heightening of tension.
So if you I think what we're saying is if you build a game where the game relies on people being tense and frightened, then you're kind of setting yourself up for a fall because you have to build a game that's tense and frightened.
Which is hard.
Which is
not
really hard.
Not
which is
easy.
really difficult. So, all right. So, what about the effectiveness of the implementation? So, the novel interface was it intuitive? Is it responsive? So, this is where we have a problem where we're getting it working, I guess. But, I think it's intuitive as to how it works in terms of the game, and I think building those kind of safe spaces in between the rooms is quite nice.
Yeah. So in terms of the interface, it's an interesting one because you don't really have to do anything with it. It's also one of those things that's really difficult to control. Like I guess you can stop and breathe and try and calm yourself down, but it's not a lot of. It's not a great. You don't have a fine level of control. I think the issue is that it's quite a noisy measurement. Like I don't know if you're. So it seems to be working here on the calibration screen. Yeah. You can see it's jumping like 20 to a 2050. Plus or minus where it probably actually is, and because of that, I almost wonder whether they should build in some sort of dampening to that.
Normally these things have a kind of a smoothing.
Yeah, and then maybe also base it on bands. So a lot of things in sports in heart rate monitoring, you will work out your max heart rate and your minimum heart rate, and then you'll have bands within that, and people will tell you to train at different bands. And maybe doing that rather than showing you the raw, like, I'm 83 now, now I'm 96, now I'm 123, what does that mean? But if it was like, you're in the calm zone, you're in the agitated zone, you're in the you're...
And actually that might have helped as well in terms of the information design, because there could be things in the game that are linked very clearly to certain bands. So you know that if you down below a certain level, that something, things won't be triggered. But and that might help people understand what's going on a bit more.
It's just those they're polished things. Like I sort of see why they're not, why they haven't done all of these sort of things. But that's what would be nice to aim for. And just that tiny bit of information design would have made it look a bit less prototypey. Like this, having a flashing number that's changing very rapidly feels a little bit.
What about the meaningfulness? So this is the kind of, is the innovation meaningful in terms of the gameplay, and does the game take advantage of it? What are your feelings on this?
I think it's a really nice idea, the sort of this idea that the tenser you get, the more jittery you get, the more danger you end up being in.
Yeah, so I think of the first two of those, I think they've done quite well. It's definitely meaningful, and I think you could build quite a nice game from it. Although, as you said, difficult to do. Because the second one is, have they then taken advantage of it? And I feel they haven't been as successful with that.
Not so much.
I think it comes down to, as you mentioned earlier, the level design as much as anything.
And they could have added some mechanics that took advantage of it. I'm not quite sure whether they did this or not, but maybe the range that a zombie could detect you from could increase if you were more tense or if your heart rate was higher.
It did seem to be doing that. The higher your heart rate, the more likely the zombies were going to come and run at you.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of these things, the effects are quite subtle.
Yeah.
So, you walk into a room and you've got no idea really whether they're going to detect you or not.
Yeah.
And, you're not quite, and it's difficult to learn what the consistency of that is and what the radius of it is.
Yeah.
And again, maybe having something which is more discreet, like those kind of... So they suddenly change their behaviour when you get to a certain level or something would be better.
Yeah, I mean the zombies were very slow moving as well, so you never quite got a sense of like, has that one noticed me or not? And because of the grid pattern they were in, it wasn't quite clear. So maybe like tutorialing this might involve having zombies at like staged distances and showing you that if you get up to a certain heart rate or into a certain band, that meant this range.
Yeah.
And sort of gave you a sense of what funnel you were walking through or what corridor you were walking through.
And I think having decided on a kind of on a fundamental aspect of that, so maybe it was the range at which they're activated, they perhaps could have made a bit more of that, in terms of even like changing the game so we're in like an overhead type game, almost like a stealth type game, basically.
I think that's what they were aiming for.
Yeah, it just doesn't work with this sort of this way of showing the game well.
Just one thought that occurred to me on the quality aspect, actually. A little bit of music would have gone a long way to sort of increase the tension in this.
Yeah.
Like breathing sound effects, right?
Talking about ways of actually making it suspenseful, and you're absolutely right. Putting some proper sound effects in, and there's that sort of crunchy noise as you wave your crowbar around, but that doesn't really count.
But that could give more feedback again on the state of people detecting you and stuff.
Okay, so I think a neat idea. I think, but and kind of just about prototyped and demonstrated, but probably not built well enough into a final game, really.
Yeah.
Even a playable level. Yeah. But good try, and good to see people trying out different things.
Yeah, I like it.
It's definitely very interesting to look at.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
Okay, let's move on. Okay, so our second game is called Minemania. It's a VR game,
but we don't have the VR kit.
But we don't have the VR kit.
Or the phone it was built for.
Yeah, which is a shame.
Which is troublesome.
Did we ask them for it?
Yeah, they didn't reply.
Oh, okay. Alright, so we do specify that if you're going to do this stuff, you need to work with us to make sure we can actually access the kit. So I think we'll look at it on a standard monitor, and we'll just have to
imagine that we have.
Imagine powerfully that we're in VR.
Cool. Can you look down? Callum, can you turn my head down so I can look at this?
So Callum is Ricky's head.
I'll rotate. Another.
Oh,
okay, of course. Controller. Like, there's obviously no controls for moving your head on the controller because you'd use your head.
Yeah.
If you can just follow my head, Callum. If you watch my head and just make the same movements as me.
I'm trying, but there'll be a bit of latency here.
Press X to open close inventory. That doesn't seem to be doing anything.
No, so that doesn't work.
I can rotate the ship.
So are you in a ship?
Can you crash into that ship?
Are you? Is this
how do I move?
Are you in a cockpit? Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I quite like the idea of being in a cockpit. I think, like, one of the criticisms we had of VR games last year was that it didn't make sense that you were just like floating around in space or something, whereas here you're
actually in the bridge of a ship.
Yeah, you can move in your head independently because you're like locked into a seat, but the ship is what's moving in the...
It's definitely one of the sort of scenarios that suits VR, isn't it?
If you could have a look at the floor again, can you tell me what I need to do? So that moves.
Warp drive, right trigger,
slow
open
movement,
shop,
toggle beacons, inventory, open shop. How do I...
Warp drive, go.
Press X to open and close inventory. Was that even on the...
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I think it might be a bug that's still up.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, do you
want to go crashes into an asteroid then, Ricky?
So I'm confused. Okay. So this is meant to be a spaceship, right?
Yep.
But I can move by pressing backwards and forwards.
Right.
Is it sort of like top-down controls?
Yeah, sort of. So I can move. Oh, okay. So I just bump into these. I can strafe in a ship. That's what's confusing me. So I can press left and right, and I move left and right, which isn't how most spaceships work in my experience.
Yeah.
As an astronaut, this isn't how spaceships work.
Wow.
But
we could have a whole conversation about my
time as an astronaut.
All right. So
interesting looking ships.
that is an interesting looking ship. So
what am I meant to do?
Yeah, I was just about to say, what are you actually
I
supposed
think
to
it was
do?
Tom that saw it, wasn't it?
Okay.
Maybe.
So can you? There was a fire and there was a warp. Is that right? Did they do anything?
Yeah, try warp
The
drive.
triggers.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. It was on the button, not on the trigger. Not on the.
What does it do?
Just speeds me up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
It was on the shoulder, was it?
I mean, you have some guns, right?
I don't know if I do.
Press A. Do you shoot things?
Doesn't seem to.
Okay, maybe we should go shopping then.
But
Yeah,
Yeah.
open the shop.
none of those things do.
Try
anything.
flying over to the planet and seeing if the planet has a shop.
Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah. That's good.
So one comment is that sort of half this ship does appear to just be metal. I think it would have been nice to sort of have the cockpit extend a bit further back, so
Yeah,
you could
it's a
sort of look
shame
around a bit.
The VR
Yeah,
as
I
see
well,
where I'm
there
going.
isn't
Sort of like you
stuff
can
to do
fit
and stuff.
Almost all of the cockpit in just sort of the default screen, so you don't
Yeah.
Yes.
really need to move your head that much.
Oh, Jupiter shopping range. Excellent.
Aha, you were right. So
Still doesn't do anything.
turn to face it, perhaps.
Can't.
I can.
Turn the ship
There you
to
go.
face it.
God.
Moving. I don't understand what's happening.
The mouse controls for the head are a little bit wonky. It's
Ah,
a bit
okay.
tricky.
Right.
Right.
So Jupiter shopping
Got
range.
there eventually.
So
Turning right doesn't seem to work anymore. I can rotate left, but not right.
I'm wondering
Ships
whether
can't
the
turn right,
I'm
Ricky.
wondering whether the problem is we've got that X to open close inventory thing up, and
But that doesn't work.
that yeah.
Hmm.
So we can fly around. There's
Does
other
the
ships
mouse
flying
button
around.
Do anything?
Oh, I can shoot.
Ah,
Why can't I shoot?
I don't know. I'm going to take the controller out.
Oh, I opened a shop as well.
How? How did you open a shop?
I right-clicked.
Oh, I see. Right,
It's
buy,
absolutely not these controls.
buy something. Should we?
I don't know how to buy something. That's a bit.
Ah, you've got mine button as well.
Okay. Oh, okay. I can look at it.
So we haven't got any money.
Oh, that's quite nice.
That's kind of cool.
So let's go and mine something. Go and bump into one of those asteroids.
Wait, I want to buy a warp drive.
You haven't got,
Oh,
you haven't got
mate.
any funds.
So how do we mine?
Yeah,
So
you
there's
have no
a
money.
mine button. So if you go up to one of the asteroids,
Okay.
and let's see if
So I think
one
the
of
mine
Callum's
button
magic
is-
mouse buttons will mine. And presumably you can shoot other ships with that. Let's go. And,
I don't know what the range is on these. Like, have
there's
I?
one. It's got an
Okay.
asteroid.
Oh, what?
Oh, that's the inventory.
What did you hit, Ricky?
Amount.
I don't think I
got,
did.
oh, so you have got some.
Is it because of where you're clicking?
Your fuel's going down. Is it?
Oh, your gold went up.
I know your
Everything's
fuel's going
going up
Why
and
is it-
down.
Is that because
Why
I'm
is your-
shooting?
Why is your fuel going up?
Maybe you get fuel from there.
Well, there's a button to mine, isn't there? So what happens if you bump up to one of those asteroids and press the
Okay, so if
the
I shoot
mine
that
button?
asteroid, hang on, left a bit. Right, there we go.
What's the
Is it
mine?
the same button
Is it
to
the same-
shoot? And
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, shoot
Yeah, all
mine.
your stuff just went up.
Yeah, there we go. Now the laser's actually
Yeah, so
hitting
there's
it.
a little
I got
reticule. Oh, and it's shrinking.
There you
Interesting.
are. There you are.
Right.
Okay. So we're mining the asteroids.
Just
No,
full of
it-
fuel and iron.
I can't mine it anymore now.
All right, let's
Why
go
not?
to the shop and see what we've. Let's try and
Right,
sell
let's go
some
back
of
to
our iron and
Jupiter.
gold and fuel.
Can we find out which button opened that inventory? I don't know
So
if it
Should
was
have
one.
been
Of...
X.
So presumably you get different.
Ah.
Wait, what?
Move with left stick.
Ah, it's got. Oh,
Rotate with right. Oh, okay. So the middle button on the mouse is the inventory.
Okay.
all right. And what's making those instructions go?
I
away?
think it's
So
when I.
Do stuff.
I think we told me do stuff. Can you rotate, Ricky?
Looks like it was meant to be a
Can-
little
Can you
tutorial.
rotate on the?
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Controller.
Trying.
So,
No, the
okay.
controller's
Ah.
unplugged.
Well, no
So
then.
can we turn round and?
Oh, am I jammed into a?
I think you've crashed into the planet.
I think I was
Yeah.
crashed into a.
Okay.
Where am I going?
Can we
Right, that's
turn right?
strafing.
So why don't you fly with the
So
no, the,
controller? Or...
So we haven't got the controller plugged in anymore, right?
Right.
No, I unplugged it
Yeah.
because I thought it might have been confusing the
Okay.
controls.
So we're gonna plug it back in so we can turn to face the planet and access the shop.
I think there's a bug with the rotation control. You know how I said a little while ago that
Rotate with
I
right
could
stick.
only rotate one way,
Mm.
Oh right, yeah.
and this is rotating the opposite way. Like I'm pressing
Yeah,
left and I'm
that's
rotating
what I
right.
do.
It does seem
That's
like
odd.
as a game, it's a little bit on the buggy side.
It does
I'm
seem to be
sure
right.
this is a bug. Look,
Right.
now I've got to there.
And it,
Now right's working. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like a
right, Jupiter shop.
like a gimbal lock.
Right.
Here we go. Right, let's sell some stuff.
Okay.
How do we sell stuff?
Is it left?
Oh, you look at it. Is that right?
No. middle.
So,
Well,
but you look at the thing that you want to sell. Is that how it works?
so that seems to be how it's selecting the UI.
But
Which
there's
is,
no selection thing come out. There's no cursor appearing to indicate that's how you do
Try
it.
clicking.
I've tried clicking and right clicking and middle clicking. Are there any more buttons on this mouse?
Yeah, you got two on the side. What do they do? Scroll buttons.
Nothing by the looks of things. So it doesn't seem like
enter anything.
yeah. Enter.
So what's the controller buttons that's supposed to sell stuff? You peer down. Anything? Rotate, move, open shop, mine, shoot, inventory.
Not
No,
really.
Nothing
no,
really.
there's not a.
There's a toggle beacons as well. I'm not entirely sure what
So
toggle
look back at
beacons
the.
is.
See, I think it's where you look, Callum. So I
Yeah,
think it's,
yeah. No, you select by looking. So,
I
so
have
if
to
you-
look back at this.
if you look at the iron, put that in the middle, for example.
Oh,
there you
this
are.
is
So
quite
look up-
hard to do even with a mouse.
Yeah. So,
click.
but then how do you
So clicking still
That
shoots
still
the lasers.
shoots.
Right click is shop.
middle click?
Middle click is inventory. If I
So we've
scroll
got
wheel,
no
it's-
idea about how to sell things.
No.
So
Maybe
we
that
can't
didn't even work.
buy anything.
I mean, do any of if we just
All right.
oh, that seems to be doing.
Jupiter.
It turns Jupiter on off.
Well, we found the Jupiter button. Brilliant. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
So we're
did
literally
something.
So we're literally just pressing buttons at random now to see
Press
what's coming
A
up.
to use the laser.
I wonder if all of these things aren't working because we haven't gone through the tutorial.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, so shoot the laser.
But the tutorial's buggy.
You can sell. Oh, you can.
Oh, okay.
Press
So
B.
control is
B.
fire.
It
You
said
can,
You can
by
press,
looking
right
at,
side-
and tapping the headset touchpad.
it said
By
press
tapping
B
the
to sell
headset
stuff.
touchpad. Oh, okay.
Okay,
Oh,
So
so
try tapping the headset touchpad. That's unfortunate.
Ow.
Alright, because we don't have a headset touchpad. Alright. Okay.
Did you try pressing B to sell things?
Well, we're physically missing the control system
I
to.
think
Yeah,
we
it
are.
said press B as well.
Oh, press
Like-
B, isn't it?
It said it on the screen before.
But that might be
you
this
can,
B.
you can shoot with
Yeah, it
that
might be
button
that
on the.
B.
Yeah.
But still not.
So it looks like maybe they've just missed one of the buttons to actually sell when they were binding this
I
to
think
the,
they've.
to
I
the
think
keyboard
they
and
must
mouse.
have used the Gear VR. So this was
Yeah.
built for Gear VR, which is like a very new, like lesser supported and less compatible VR system, which is a danger. Like you're limiting your market if you target something that's
It's a classic
like,
problem
very
with
specific.
for VR developers, isn't it? Is if you write a VR game and you write it to take advantage of VR, you've got a
Yeah.
tiny market.
Yeah.
And if you write a VR game and you write it so it can be played without VR, then it doesn't take advantage of VR and it's a bit
Yeah.
pointless.
Well, not just that, but like there are 3-4 different VR platforms,
Yeah.
and making it to only work on one of them rather than
Yeah.
making a general VR game is limiting yourself even more. Like even if you target all of the VR platforms, you've only got a tiny proportion of the games market, and only targeting one of the 4 platforms is like.
Okay, let's think about this. So in terms of the quality,
It looks like a good game. Like I think,
Yeah,
it looks like it could work.
like it's got quite a lot of mechanics in it. Like it does lots of things.
So,
Like move around.
so part of the problem though is doing lots of things doesn't make it a good game. But so I think you're absolutely right that it has lots of mechanics in it. You can go and mine things, you can go and sell things. Presumably, you can go and fight those other ships. We haven't even tried to do that.
I'm trying to get there, but I can't seem to
But
rotate.
again, but I don't see the point of doing that.
Yeah, I
Because
think
they're going to
rotation's
attack
buggy.
you. So unless they release rare materials or something.
Yeah.
So
I think but it sort of has the
Oh.
mechanics that would make a trading game, right?
yeah,
Like we can
that doesn't
collect
seem to do anything.
resources,
Can
we
you-
can
Oh.
move around and trade the resources. Do
Feels
things
a
with
lot
the
like
resources.
Firefly, the board game.
Just
Okay.
Hey,
So I think you destroyed it, but again, there was no real feedback. You were hitting it.
Yeah.
I've got wanted level 1
And,
now.
like, what-
Whatever
Ah,
that
you got a
means.
wanted level.
Oh, I'm being shot at by a blue guy.
So now
I can't turn though, so
Now
this is a bit
you're-
one-sided.
you'll just fly into the sun. That'll get rid of it.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah,
So alright, so they've got that working as well. They've got
Yeah.
they've got some interaction. They've got wanted level.
I think I've hit a wall.
So
I
you
like
know,
their debug messages. It just says this happened.
so Okay.
Like it feels like it's making all the right steps towards a playable game.
Yeah,
and I think just interface-wise, we're not being able to play it.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like it feels like the sort of game that would probably need to be tuned very heavily to be a really fun game.
Yeah, you got a lot of resources out of that tiny asteroid, right?
Yeah.
Again, I think they've suffered by not having a kind of a minimum viable product. What you have here is a complex mining, fighting, presumably trading game.
Yeah.
Which none of which works enormously well.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm out of fuel.
Whereas I think
that's why you can't move.
if they'd have just done a space shooter, or they'd just done a trading game, then maybe they would have had a chance within 3 weeks to get it working properly.
It's interesting because in the lectures we do those exercises where you get them to take asteroids and put it in VR.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I wonder if they feel like that's quite a noddy task, but it would be enough. Like if you did that and did it in an interesting way, that would be challenging enough to do in 3 weeks, and it would work because it's
absolutely
constrained enough to work, and you're not. Yeah, ambition is it's troublesome.
So what about? I mean, I know we haven't got the VR kit, but what do we think about their design in terms of the effectiveness of the VR?
I think they've done two good things that we've identified in previous VR things. So they have the thing where you're not really having to deal with things behind you. We think we don't know whether you get attacked from behind by other ships.
Yeah, those ships just did.
You're constrained to your view, so you're not having to worry about being able to see things behind.
But in the same vein, I think that's one of the really nice things about VR, that you can actually look around and make full use of that sort of 360-degree
So
space.
it is a little bit constrained in that sense.
I feel like at least the cockpit could have been a bit more interesting.
I think you kind of they've done well by putting you in a cockpit, because then now it makes sense that you can't physically walk about.
Yeah.
But they could have had it so that you could have looked and had a better range of vision around. They could have done stuff so that you actually had a little bit more interesting feedback in the cockpit itself.
Yeah.
So you got that inventory that pops up. There's no reason that should pop up. Just have that in the cockpit, and if you want to look, you just look at it.
Yeah.
You know? That's the whole point.
So have a control panel.
Have a control panel. Have a screen that actually has that information on it all the time that you can just turn and look at if you want to find out what your inventory is. So I think they've kind of made some steps towards it, but they haven't really fully got there.
I think the movement in VR is an important thing as well. So they've addressed the issue that moving, if you're not physically moving but your avatar is moving, is confusing. But in this case, your avatar is fixed because you're sat in a cockpit, but actually the ship is moving. Yeah.
There's going to be an awful lot of cockpit sort of based, fighting in tanks and mechs and piloting stuff in VR, isn't it?
But as you say, take advantage of that. Take advantage of that to put some of the interface in the environment and immerse the player. I
mean, in a sense, that's the whole point, right? The whole point is if you want to see something, you can glance across and see it. Yeah. You don't have to think about pressing a button. It should be natural and intuitive. That's what makes it immersive. So that aspect of it hasn't worked quite so well.
Okay. So meaningfulness.
Meaningfulness. Is this game? Is it important that this game is in VR?
I don't think so.
No, not at the moment.
It's
the typical thing I think VR adds to games like this really is that immersion, sense of immersion, and I think as is, it doesn't really have enough to immerse you in the game.
No. Yeah.
It's a little bit like the core dynamic issue in the first coursework, where if you're picking that as your experience, that the player is immersed in this environment and that's why it's VR, really, really sell that. Do everything to sell that immersion. It's not immersive because you're in this empty room and you can't really do anything in this empty room. Everything's happening outside, and you could do that just as easily not in VR.
So does the game take advantage of the fact it's in VR? Does it do any?
The only thing I think it really does nicely in the VR sense is the sort of selecting for menus without having to hit keys. That's quite nice.
Is that a good interface though? I'm always a bit concerned about having to use my use my head as a mouse cursor. A mouse cursor is a much better mouse cursor than my head. Because I don't have fine enough control to
That's true.
Yeah, I guess we didn't try it how it's actually meant to be. So it's hard to say.
I've used them before. Those buttons look quite small too.
They've got this working on a plane, right? So everything happens on this plane, and one of the reasons for doing that presumably is it means you're not confused and you're not worried about being attacked from above and below and all that kind of stuff. But actually, part of the advantage of this is you could put people in a proper three-dimensional asteroid field and get them to actually look about for stuff.
Yeah.
And if you put things like, if there was some kind of graphical representation on the asteroid as to what was valuable about them, and part of the game was to spot them in the field and kind of look around and see them.
There's the gold asteroid.
Yeah, look up, see through the roof of the cockpit, see a glinting gold seam in the asteroid above you. Then you're starting to take advantage of it.
I feel like they had kind of that idea with this massive glass window thing. They just didn't.
But there was nothing above or below. It was just everything was on.
And as a result, there is no reason to look around.
Yeah.
Right. There is no reason to kind of stare out and go, oh look, I can actually look above me. And so I can maybe see why they've done it in order to make it simple and to reduce the confusion. But at the same time,
it stops them taking advantage of the VR.
I think so.
Also feels like you could have some fun like dogfights if you had like a full view around your cockpit and you could like look behind you to see if you're being chased and that sort of thing.
So I play quite a lot of games like that, and actually the situational awareness is really useful. But again, you have to make sure you're using that in the game.
Okay, I think we should probably move on.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so our third game is called Base ++, and it's a location-based game. I saw this one in the Expo. So handily, one of the things they did was effectively give you a sort of demo mode where you faked location, so you can run around the map. So it's a base capturing game.
I kind of wish we were running around outside playing.
Yeah,
but it's also quite warm.
There's lots of interesting things to talk
about. Is it two-player? So. Or is it against an AI?
It's against an AI.
Okay.
I think originally they thought it would be something where you'd be playing, multiplayer, but for simplicity's sake, you start off with this.
They've got a tutorial. Maybe we should have a look at that.
Is this the game or is this the menu?
That's what it was.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right.
So basically,
I'm going to make sure I only walk on paths to make this realistic.
So this is one of the interesting things. So essentially, what happens is that so bases appear. They obviously time down. When you go into the zone around the base, you start to capture the base. Once it goes the outside circle, the centre changes colour, and now it's your base. And when it goes down, you win the base. Right?
Okay.
There is an AI player who we can't see at the moment.
Where's this AI player gone? I'm sure I looked at this before.
There was definitely an AI player in the Expo. The AI player doesn't appear on the mini map, so it could just be out of range.
Oh, that's true.
This is quite a fun idea.
So
I sort of wonder what would the interface be though when you're playing it out in the wild.
So what you're doing is looking down. So this appears on your screen, basically on your phone.
Okay.
So the problem here is there is no AI player, so there is no competition.
What happened? I'm sure I saw an AI.
There was definitely one in the Expo.
Should I open it in Unity?
Shall we? Did we definitely play it or?
Oh, I did. Maybe we're in tutorial mode. I see what you mean.
Yeah, so I'm wondering.
Play.
Oh, there he is. There's the AI. Okay, and you've got much higher times, yeah.
Okay.
So
that makes more sense.
And there's a countdown to go and get them.
I was going to say I reckon the times are a bit low for if you're.
So one of the interesting things about this is that you mentioned about paths, and you'll note that the AI doesn't know anything about paths whatsoever. Yeah. So they spent quite a bit of time trying to get Google Maps information and actually into the phone and rendered at the right level and everything. But they didn't use, or they haven't used any route information whatsoever.
No.
Oh, there you go.
But there's plenty of that data around. That's the thing.
So as a result of that, the AI can ignore paths and go straight through buildings and all the rest of it. Whereas the physical player obviously can't do that.
Oh really? Yeah, of course. But this would surely be a multiplayer game.
Yeah, I would think so.
Like if you were to play
I think
this
that was
on
their
your
original
phone.
intention.
Like it wouldn't actually be fun again.
So what they did is they kind of nerfed the AI a bit to make up for that. So it kind of has a sort of semi-random movement. So rather than just going straight to things, it kind of meanders its way there. So they've kind of it's almost like they said, well, we couldn't quite model the landscape, so we've tried to simulate something going through a fictional landscape that replicates the amount of time it would take to get there. And in fairness, I mean, that could make it part of the game. So there may well be things that you decide not to go to because on the other side of a dirty brick building, and you know the AI will get there first.
I don't know. I'm a little bit disappointed because that data does exist. Like OpenStreetMaps has all of this information, including buildings.
Yeah. So
data.soft
you can capture that base back again if you want.
Oh, can I? Hang on, I'm going to go in the back door of Zeppler.
So this is our computer science building. Yeah, just running past the dean's office now. Right. So there you go. So you capture that one. So I think that kind of mechanic of capturing a base and having this, that all works really quite nicely, actually.
Yeah.
And of course the thing to remember is this does actually work, right? If you put it on a phone.
Oh, does it?
Did they test it?
Did they show it?
Yeah, they showed it. Well, so they showed it to me as much as they could, given that we were in a room.
Yeah.
But they showed me the location working, and you can imagine it could be quite a fun game to play, actually.
So, sort of my question is there any other location-aware game other than this? So, at the Southampton Game Jam a couple of years ago, a group did a location-aware game.
Yeah.
It was a sort of multiplayer. You had no information on your phone whilst you were running around, but you had someone back at base who would be like, go north, there's some things to collect there. But it was effectively go to a place and collect the thing that was physically located.
I think it definitely lends itself to kind of territory acquisition, collection type mechanics. Yeah. But you can also do exploration. So you can do things like imagine a virtual world laid on top of the real world, and you're exposing those
Pokemon
things.
Go is effectively
Pokemon Go is like that. You can there's themes you can tap into that play with that. So playing with the spirit world or kind of extra dimensional stuff or time travel, so that virtual world overlay change it. There's loads of stuff you can do.
But does anyone ever like?
But the core, well, they do in the kind of narrative-based games.
Okay.
But but yeah, you're right. In these kind of things, it does tend to be territory acquisition is the obvious type thing to do.
I guess what I'm getting at is in terms of that sort of meaningfulness of making it location aware.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely the right mechanic for location aware, but I feel like this hasn't gone deeper than that. It's like.
No.
Why do that? Like, would it be just
also,
as fun playing it on a console or on a?
I'm also you're moving pretty quickly. I'm guessing. So I mean, we know this map because this is the university campus, right? So if you actually move, if you play and move around, how fast can you actually move? I mean, I would say that's like a dead
probably
run.
Jogging.
Yeah, jogging speed.
So one end of building 32 to the other. So
there you go.
1, 2.
That is a run.
3,
that is a dead run.
4, 5, 6.
Not
7,
a sprint though.
8, 9.
Actually, maybe you're right.
10.
Yeah, maybe
Could I run from one end of the building?
Yeah, you could.
Absolutely.
We should test it after this.
Yeah,
So-
so we go down there.
But you've got stuff out there, so some of those bases are miles away.
Yeah. So definitely needs some tuning in terms of where do you put your bases.
I mean, if you were to walk from where you are now to that base which says 45, 44, that is a 5 minute, 10 minute walk, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I know you can run it a lot quicker. So what I'm wondering is whether these are a bit too spread out, whether the timings are too high.
Hang on, can you go in the base at the same time as them? Wait for them to go in the base. Because I'm curious what happens when two people end up in a base at the same time.
Yeah, he's about to go in, so let's see. Presumably it has no effect if you're both in.
He's really wandering all over the shop.
Yeah. So he's following those fictional paths.
Because
Here he comes. No!
Oh, come on.
I was going for that one.
No.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking is, I don't think they play tested this in a real environment.
That's not good, is it?
And I wouldn't mind betting if you play tested this in a real environment, what you'd realise is that they're too far apart, and the actions of the game take too long. So you run for a couple of minutes, or you run from a minute or something, and then you capture the base, and then there's these big gaps where all you're doing is moving at full energy through, and I mean, even Ricky would run out of energy after playing this for a few minutes, right? I mean,
so when we tested that one in the game jam, we play tested it, and we were sprinting around campus, and it was a much more refined bit. It was just this bit over here, and even that was hard work. We played it for about 5 minutes, and we were all exhausted. So
I'd have thought if you did something within a much more limited area with smaller amounts of time, that would probably be more fun and more frenetic.
Do you know what this needs? This needs more interaction between the players.
Like
the risk is you can go to opposite corners.
Yes.
But what it should be doing is generate new things in the middle of the two players, so you're both drawn back towards each other and battle it out.
The game encourages you to move away from players, so you get your cluster of bases. Because going for the same base, just whoever gets there first catches it.
What about a mechanic like if you capture a base that was previously the other colour, you get twice as many points?
Yeah, something like that. To encourage
But then you have to have some kind of thing where if you've got two people stood in the base, there has to be something for them to do, because otherwise the temptation is for you both just to stand around until a base time's out. Because whoever leaves first loses the base.
Yeah.
So maybe if you both enter the base, then instead of it going coloured, there's a timer for destruction. So if you're both in the base for 10 seconds, the base just gets destroyed, and you don't. So, okay.
So what? I guess the question is, what is the skill you're trying to get the player to be better at? Is it tactically choosing where to go, or is it just to be the fastest runner? Like,
I think there's definitely an element of both in this. Sort of choosing which cluster of bases to go for.
So, I mean, my feeling in terms of quality is that it works. The mechanism they've got in here works quite well. The location stuff kind of works. They've got the map working properly. So it is a game, and you can play it, but it maybe lacks that kind of refinement. And I'm also thinking that it suffers because they haven't play tested it in a real environment. And I do wonder whether things are too far apart. And I think you're right. I think as soon as you did play test it properly, you would realise that, oh look, we're both stood in a base with 30 seconds to go, therefore the only realistic strategy is us to stand here for 30 seconds until it stops.
Maybe you want different scoring for the different things, like to make it work. Like maybe the ones that are further away or further apart score better, or maybe if you own ones that are further apart, you score better, or something like that.
I think have a score for the base, and when you capture the base, the value goes up by 1. Yeah. So other people's bases or bases that have been fought over are more valuable. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So the mechanics probably need a bit more refinement, but definitely playable, definitely works.
It would be very easy to sort of implement a race mechanic in this as well. If you sort of had just a string of bases that you had to be the first to capture each one, which could be quite interesting.
Although you'd be better off being behind, because then you could just capture all the ones as the other person ran off pointlessly and convert all their bases. What about the effectiveness of the location-based system? Is it practical? Is it playable in real spaces?
So I think, as we said, like the generation of the places that you need to get to are a bit unrealistic, because they haven't really made use of that data. Like some of them generate over a building, and like, is it realistic that you could get inside that building to?
So I think this is one of those. Is it a bug? Is it a feature things? Because I think they would argue that kind of, by making the base big enough, you can kind of activate it by standing around the outside of a building, and it's kind of interesting if you've got to go around a building to get it. But yeah, you're right. I think it's just a little bit too.
Yeah, I like the idea of having to get around a building. Like you could tactically put the next one that you're likely to go and get to, like the opposite side of a building from where you are, or something like that.
I mean, there was one of the early mixed reality games called Can You See Me Now, which was very like this. So the idea being that the red player was actually in the real physical space.
I actually can't get to that. That's in a river valley. And the circle isn't big enough, though.
But the blue player in Can You See Me Now had to capture the red player, and the blue player was playing online in a browser and didn't have to follow paths and routes and things. But then that was the game, right? So the game was for the blue players to try and use the landscape to capture and corner the red player. So there was some real purpose to it, whereas here it just feels a little bit kind of like, well, we can get away with it, but it doesn't actually serve a purpose. Okay, what about the meaningfulness? Is it meaningful in terms of gameplay? Does the game take advantage of the fact it's location based?
I think the actual experience of running around between these bases, trying to capture these, would actually be quite a fun thing to do. I think it's actually adds quite a lot of value to what would otherwise be a very simple territory capture game.
Yeah, it's not interesting to play on a laptop, right? It works, but
like if this was multiplayer, I'd be having a reasonable amount of fun. Like mechanically, it needs a little bit more. It needs a bit more interaction between the players,
But yeah, I think overall it's definitely improved by the presence of by the fact that you run around doing it. Again, as Ricky said, if it actually brought players together in real space, that would be very, very funny. Especially if you had a break, so you could sort of chat to the person you were playing against between bases or something like that.
And that's interesting, like the social element of that.
Or swap information or something.
Yeah.
You're just denying him these two bases.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I said ultimately they did want to make a multiplayer game, and they just didn't quite have time to do it, and implemented that AI so you had something to compete against. And I think the multiplayer game would have been a lot more fun.
Yeah, definitely.
As is, I think
this does work.
With a little playtesting, this could be very fun to play.
Yeah,
running around for all of 5 minutes till you run out of breath.
Yeah.
I wonder if it would work as a walking game, like if you didn't have to run, like if there was strategy.
It looks to me like the sort of thing that kids would get a massive amount out of, actually. So I think as an adult you probably get fairly bored with it. It might be quite an interesting way to exercise with somebody else, but kids would absolutely love this.
I think it'd be a fun running app, like that zombie run thing.
Yes. So I think actually they've got a good core game here, and I think there's a lot of potential for them to take it in actually quite a lot of different directions.
But it needs a lot of tweaking. I'd say that the game doesn't take advantage of the location awareness so much. Like they could have done more with it.
Could definitely use some more balancing.
Yeah. And thinking about like good locations to spawn these bases.
It's interesting because it's become a procedural content generation challenge, right? Is how do we generate interesting locations on a map that makes this game fun to play.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was an overlap between bases, that would be quite interesting.
I mean, they could have explicitly placed them, and that would have been fine too, but they didn't. I don't think so.
And also, it's things like they've just generated a base on the other side of a main road.
Yeah. That's not really campus anymore, is it?
And
should you be careful about that?
And you do have to be careful about things like that. So getting people to cross busy roads under pressure of time, competing against somebody else.
Did Pokemon Go do anything with that? A lot of their things were in green spaces, but I don't know if I seem to remember that being semi-intentional. But I don't know if that was just because of their data sets.
I believe has a number of defined sort of points, which are the Pokestops, and they've actually manually gathered those points.
Okay, so they were manually.
The other bits, I think, is using terrain data, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But I think even if they just manually placed a lot of points around campus, you could do that in 10 minutes.
This bases are miles away. If I was playing this game and those bases came up, my reaction would be,
time to get a coffee.
Yeah, I'm going to the staff club.
So what you're saying is it should generate more bases in the staff club?
I could see a Starbucks branded edition of this app where sort of you have to run around and spend 5 minutes in the base at each different coffee shop to...
Isn't that just Foursquare?
On that note, perhaps we should move on.
Yeah.
Alright. To the coffee shop.
That seemed pretty good to me.
Okay, so our last game is called No One Get 10K. So, what type of game is this?
Who saw this?
Well,
this was on mobile.
I remember it in development. I think at least it was going to be a PC.
Can I jump?
Right.
I think Tom saw it.
I like there's music in this.
It's really appropriate music for the aesthetic as well.
The music adds a lot.
What am I?
I don't know. It's a bit trippy.
So what's...
I don't know.
This is the one that... Yes.
So I think this is dynamic difficulty or procedural?
It was going to be procedural in development, but I didn't see it in the expo. They was talking about a PCG platformer.
Didn't Tom
Does it not
leave us
say?
his notes?
Yeah, he did, and he said something along the lines of that when those things pop up at the end, they're completely fake.
Yes.
Yes, there's not actually a high score system.
What is going on? Like, this is so.
Is this the right game?
Wacky.
Even? Do they have a title? No one gets 10k.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot.
It sort of looks like it might be adaptive difficulty, but I'm not
Board-
sure.
Yeah, it looks like.
So it says
but
board,
then it hasn't.
board probabilities based on state, which is your score. So it feels like the probability of things appearing kind of varies.
Why did it stop?
What are the red and green bars at the top?
I have no idea.
And the social media stuff at the end is fakery.
What are the green and blue bars that are like waving around in the
That's just the
background?
background.
But so are the
Does
clouds.
the world not look like
so
that
it's
to you?
speeding. So it looks like it's speeding.
Randomly speeding up and down.
This is absolutely adaptive difficulty, isn't it?
No, but it was meant to be PCG, I'm pretty sure.
Like
I think the platform.
Oh,
But yeah,
so
it is
that bounces
adaptive
you back to the top.
well, that's fine. I can stay on this.
Yeah, it looks like adaptive difficulty.
Oh, now you've got coloured ones as well. Oh, okay.
The speed keeps changing. This is the hardest thing to do
Oh.
ever.
What is that red bar at the top? Like,
Oh,
it
yeah,
keeps
it's moving.
changing.
Is that
based
how
on
long I
something.
stand on a red bar?
Or is that is that the difficulty thing? Is that
Why are
It
they
shouldn't be
moving?
easy.
It's going down when you reach the top.
See what happens if you squish into it.
It looks like it might be a health bar of some kind.
What's going on?
But it's not.
or is it the visual representation of the state of the game? Because obviously,
Guess so. I guess do things get harder when I land on a red one, but if I land on a green one, they
So
get.
you keep going to the top of the screen. Does that actually kill you if you get?
It keeps knocking his red bar down.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is so wacky. I like that the music speeds up.
Okay, so when the red bar reaches the left, you die.
then you die. Okay, and the green bar is something else.
Okay.
Right. I kind of like the surreal nature of it, and it
so
looks
wacky.
really quite playable.
I can't. Do you want to have a go, Dave? Go on, mate. Get
Was
it.
it?
It's just Waz. I
the
play on
controls are-
this screen.
Hang on. Is the music slowing down?
No, the music's sped up.
Yeah,
The music sped up as we were playing, as it was getting harder.
So,
I
just
really
fall
like
off-
that effect. I
fall
like
off the
music
bottom.
speeding up.
If you fall off the bottom, you
Have you
die.
noticed that the people who play on Twitter are much better than the people who play on Facebook? Q, I
Yeah.
think, restarted.
Q.
They have more time on their hands. Weirdly.
well,
They also have better
Sorry, I was
names.
just right. So let's play properly.
You can't judge names
There's-
on Let's Play.
I really like the music.
A bit too eager.
I'm guessing it's like it must just be a MIDI file, and it's like 2 bars of MIDI
I
music.
think the green bar might be a difficulty. You know, it's right at the left at the bottom.
Yeah. And in fact, it's almost it's so easy. I keep dying. I know that may sound difficult, but I'm getting impatient and I keep leaping off into blind space because I want to get on with it.
So one nice thing
But
they
it
can do
gets
with
harder,
this
so-
is give the player
Yeah.
the choice to increase their difficulty if they want, because it doesn't seem to sort of.
That's true. Like, there's never any red blocks for me to jump on.
Okay, here we go. It's starting to get more difficult.
No, not that one, Dave.
Oh,
Poor choice.
Maybe this is just timed. Maybe just hang out until it.
yeah. It's
So is it getting harder with your score, or is it just getting harder with time?
so Tom said score on his notes. So
I mean,
Should it not have like
does seem to
a
be responding to your
representation of your
actions.
score?
yes, it does. Is that bar actually doing anything? So does the green bar do anything in response to?
I haven't seen it move.
Right, you have a numeric score at the end. Why is
neither of
that
those
not
bars-
displayed during the game? Like,
I think that would actually be my biggest
Is-
criticism
Especially
so
if
far.
it's responding
Is
to
it
your
meaningful
score.
though?
The score.
Well, if
Yeah.
that's what it's adjusting.
Well, we have
to.
no idea because we don't know
Yeah,
what
we
actions
don't actually
had
know.
an impact on.
It needs to give the player more feedback on sort of what the scoring is based on and how their actions are actually affecting the difficulty of the game, I think.
I this stalling, I don't know if that is because it's trying to adapt the speed and it's changing it too often, or if there's a bug that means the loop just occasionally pauses while it. Maybe it's when it's generating the new things underneath. Maybe the algorithm is slow enough that happening in real time is slowing it down.
Yeah, maybe.
That seems unlikely.
Either way, it's somewhat of a bug if it's like that jittery. Like
Yeah.
Lasts for 51 seconds.
if it's intentional.
Let's
because
have a
of
crack
the-
then.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go on.
Right. What is
So-
it? Just whilst.
I think it's quite telling that we want to have a go.
Is that difficulty increasing now then? Let's have a look at that.
I don't know what it's doing. It's jittering around.
Yeah, if this didn't have the music, I wouldn't want to
So you think it might just be time based?
I don't know. I don't know if it is actually getting any harder.
It can't be.
It does seem like it's getting.
It's not in there. Just play on.
It does seem like it's getting. Look, the green bar's going up though. It does seem like it's getting faster.
Just play the game.
Okay, fine. How do I?
No one
Q.
knows. QA.
QE, something like that. There you go.
Hey, okay, it's E. Oh God, that's.
See? Yeah.
Like
See, it's not what you expect though, is it? Because it has inertia and
Yeah.
it feels a bit odd. But once you get used to it, it kind of works. But it's harder to control than.
See, why does it keep like occasionally speeds up and slows down and?
You're just gonna, that's gonna be an earworm.
No.
Oh!
I touched
It has that kind of horrible Flappy Birds thing about it, doesn't it?
It is. It's the opposite game of what a lot of these sort of tower style games were, which was where you have like a character that's constantly bouncing and you've got to get onto the on the next thing, but you've got like the screen's always moving upwards, so you've got to stay ahead of the bottom, and it's that but falling.
So let's talk about the quality.
Music is the best thing.
Yeah.
The music is awesome. If it didn't have that music, it simply wouldn't work.
Isn't that insane? Just how little you have to do to make an engaging experience.
So it's other little things as well. So it's that background that's just that rainbow background that's just moving pointlessly from left to right. But again, it just
is that good or bad?
It adds.
It's fantastic.
It adds dynamics to the
It's
visuals.
great.
Yeah. Again, I have no idea why, but
I can't tell if it's on purpose or whether it was an accident.
It might have done, but it adds a lot of energy to it, though.
Yeah, I guess so.
It really does add to the game's aesthetic. Sort of
I'm always tempted to open it in Unity and turn the music off and delete that asset and play it, and the difference to the game would be absolutely astonishing.
Except, having played it like this, we already know, like, the music would still be going in our heads.
Yeah. So I think quality-wise, I mean, it's very simple, but the controls work quite effectively.
Yeah.
The game works quite well.
Still not
Oh God, they've started gyrating.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, so what are the bars at the information design?
The information design is a bit poor.
Those bars at the top are just confusing.
But then again, it also adds to the simplicity and the fact that because you've got red and green bars coming up, and then a big red and green bar at the top. It's just kind of
So I think that connection's good, although we still haven't quite calculated what it means.
I think I just took fall damage.
Yeah, you did. What's the red one?
85 seconds. There we go.
Landing on the red one seems to. Rach, you go up again.
Yeah, you take full damage.
The music's quite good.
Is it just wow?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
How do I?
It's not
So
that,
do the
it's
green
just
ones?
DNA.
Do the green ones give you energy then? Is that what the green and red are?
Feels like it, but the green one doesn't
don't
seem
know
to
what
do
happened
anything. Do you fall off the side?
Who
So I
knows?
think the core game I actually quite like.
Yeah.
So the effectiveness of the implementation.
It's really
so-
hard to say what's happening.
So
Like, is it just getting progressively harder with time, or what? Like,
So-
and that's not dynamic.
It's
But
not
it's
dynamic
supposed to be.
difficulty. Like it is procedurally generating the platforms.
I
Yeah.
think it's randomly generating platforms. I'm not
No,
sure.
no, that's definitely changing. That's changing over time because of the. At least how far through the game you are. It might be on the timer.
So it's not responding to your actions. I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
But you're right.
You don't think?
I don't think so. but as time progresses, it definitely the generation algorithm is changing.
Yeah.
And new types of platforms are coming in, and the speed is changing. Well, I suppose that arguably that's adaptive difficulty, isn't it? The speed is altering.
It does seem to have a little bit of adaptive difficulty, but it's certainly not a really strong element of it.
I don't think it's really adaptive. It just
No,
feels like it's getting
chaotic,
progressively
doesn't
harder.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, I don't think it's necessarily modelling the player. Like, what's it?
No.
It's not trying to do anything based on a particular state of the player. Like
So
it seems to be changing over the state of the game, but not necessarily based on what the player's doing.
So I think it's procedural generation linked to time.
Like, what would you do if it was like linking to the player? Maybe if the player had a preference for staying on the left-hand side, then you'd generate more things on the right-hand side. Or if they were always landing on the green ones, then maybe you generate more.
So we think that's what it's doing, because it's not particularly clear. So if we assume that's the case...
Why did you fall off that? It
so
saved you.
How effective do we think the procedural generation is?
I mean, it's interesting. It is definitely interesting.
It's simple, but it is effective, right? So I'm wondering as well whether or not... So I don't think we've encountered a position where there wasn't a platform to jump to. And I don't know whether that's just luck. Because sometimes they're quite close together and sometimes they're quite far apart. But it feels to me like... And like there you've got these different waves of platforms as well. So it doesn't feel... It doesn't look to me like it's entirely random.
yeah, no, they're definitely in little waves.
So I think they thought about it, and I think actually it's working quite well.
Definitely.
So Tom's notes say SM spoofed. What does SM mean?
Social media.
Oh, social media.
So
okay.
that bit at the end with the Facebook and Twitter thing. So, but in fairness, I think they were quite open about that, and they just said, "Look, this is."
Yeah. So board probability is based on state bracket score. So just the more score you're getting, which is presumably based on how long you've been in the fight.
Yeah, by the looks of it.
Stop landing on the red ones, Rachel.
What's wrong with the red ones?
So if you drop on a...
PCG, but it's not.
What do the red ones do?
The red ones give you damage.
Oh, I thought they were good.
The green one looks like it gives you very slightly more.
Why do we think it's damage though?
What even happened there?
So is the green one your score then?
Who knows?
No, it never seems to grow.
No, it's moving, look.
You sure it's not just the background?
No, it's gradually going.
Get more green ones.
Ow.
And
Ow.
is there like a maximum
No idea.
damage you can get to?
Don't know.
I actually think if they'd explained what those bars were at the top once and then put them in, it would have been a really nice bit of sort of diegetic design almost, because it fits really well with the aesthetic and the background.
It does.
Without any sort of text or anything. It just does need explaining at least once.
Okay, so in terms of the effectiveness of the generation, I actually think it's quite effective.
It is.
It's relatively simple.
Yeah, I think it's effective but simple, basically.
But it doesn't. It's actually not. It's not hopelessly simple, right? It looks like it's generating waves. It's incorporating different styles of thing into it. That seems to change over time. So yeah, it's relatively straightforward, but they've done a good job actually.
It's well incorporated into the game.
To be this playable with procedure generated things is actually requires quite a lot of balancing. Meaningfulness. Does this game benefit from having procedure generated platforms?
No idea what the meaning of this game is.
But replayability, again, that's people say that all the time, but in this case I think it holds up.
To be honest, this game...
What makes this game work is not knowing what's coming.
And it lets the
wouldn't
level
work.
be infinite by generating it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work without procedural generation.
No.
At least of some variety. Because, as Rachel said, I think it has to be infinite.
So
Or it could just be really
I do
long,
wonder
like-
whether what they should have done at the beginning was had a short section which wasn't procedurally generated that taught you what everything did.
Yeah, if the first few minutes
Yeah.
were just the same level, but you tutorial effect.
Yeah. And we've said to them it has to be a sort of a playable prototype, and I think if they were building it to a real game, you might have different stages, and then you'd introduce more things on different stages. But yeah, actually,
it does work very well.
It works very well, and they've used it very effectively. So again, simple, but sometimes simple is best, right?
One thing I would definitely like to have seen, and it's not really procedure generation, is an actual high score screen rather than the spoofed. Just because
there's a form of procedural generation. Like it's not predetermined. You generate it based on user input. Like it's on Hendrix's taxonomy of content generation. In the same way that, like, if you were generating news articles about things the player did in your simulated world, that is a generated content.
I see what you mean.
It's the most simple, and just because we've had it since arcade games in the 80s doesn't mean it isn't still procedural.
That's fair. But I think a high score screen would add quite a lot to the replayability of it as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a quality problem. The fact that,
but yeah,
you don't, because you. And again, the fact that it's not on here, because you are effectively racing against yourself. So what really you need is your current time, and then you probably need your best ever time, and then probably or maybe even the highest time for today or something. Right?
You say that, but the reason you do that is to make it replayable. We still keep playing it. I don't know what I'm aiming for. Like I don't even have a personal objective for this. I'm just playing it because it's. I don't know. I don't understand why I'm playing it.
It has that kind of flow quality to it, doesn't it?
It does.
Oh, you were lucky there.
Shut up, Dave. I have the most skill at this random chaos game.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we probably have to move on. But I have to say, this is a little bit of a guilty pleasure. I like this one.